Hi, I'm Jake. I do Pathfinder 2 videos. Welcome back to more coverage for Howl of the Wild. Athamaru Ancestry. I'm just going to call it that because it seems like it makes sense. These things are weird. They're another fish-like humanoid person ancestry. How many do we need? Like, this is the fifth way you can play as a fish of some sort. Alright, whatever. These are more like eels, though, so it's at least interesting that way. They have their own fish niche. If you're interested in hearing just the heritages and feats, skip to here. Otherwise, we're doing lore first, like usual. Athamarus are fish-like humanoids who form tight-knit undersea communities. In small settlements, they engage in the subsistence farming of seaweed, train eels to serve as mounts, and create elaborate works of coral art. Their interactions with other aquatic ancestries are strained, as Athamarus have suffered mistreatment at their hands. However, they remain curious about potential connections and what new opportunities may offer. Athamarus define themselves by their connections to the world around them. They live in communal settings among coral reefs and aquatic companion creatures that encourage large families and friend groups. Athamaru settlements established near river or sea trade routes usually maintain strong relationships with the sailors who regularly pass by, exchanging coral jewelry or information about nearby sea routes for surface goods, especially root foods like tubers, yams, and other vegetables, which they see as delicacies. I love that adorable little detail added. We like our sweet potatoes. Like carrots are a delicacy. It's just cute. If you want to play a character who values community and survives the sea through effort alone, you should play an Athamaru. You might value your community above most everything else. Approach strangers with warm curiosity. We have coral. Others probably assume you're well versed in underwater survival and believe you're to blame for foul smells. I guess because you're a fish? Like, why doesn't it say that for, like, Azarketi or mermaids? Merfolk. I know, the whole ancestry is called mermaids because that's how I know them. Physical description. Athamarus have a distinctive appearance that resembles fish. Their brightly colored skin often matches the reefs where they build their communities. Frills, barbels, and crested fins add to their flamboyant appearance. The sheer variety of crest shapes, scale patterns, and fin styles make individuals distinct, even as communities share features. These similarities are often environmentally advantageous, such as scales that allow them to blend into seaweed or longer toes in areas with stony seabeds. Why are your toes 8 inches long? Isn't everybody's? Outsiders often note that Athamarus have a distinctive smell, which comes from pheromones, which people can't always smell, used for both communication and defense. While the level of control varies, all Athamarus can communicate basic emotions chemically, and individual settlements have unique variations to their pheromones that serve as a community fingerprint. Masters of pheromonal expression can communicate complex philosophical concepts purely chemically, occupying a role similar to master singers in other communities. So, like, welcome for our one-night showing of All My Smells. And there's a stadium ready, and, like, the performer just opens their arms, and just people smell the performance. What? Athamarus value natural adornments that blur the lines between body modifications and jewelry. In areas where coral grows, tending reefs and their symbiotic species are highly valued tasks. Some fashion still living specimens into earrings or cuffs, then gently guide the coral as it continues to grow. These pieces often stay in circulation for generations and are valued as living community history. Other uses of coral include integrating pieces in with the wearer's body in symbiosis, the coral providing nutrients, and the Athamaru ensuring access to sunlight and quality water. Society. The largest population of Athamarus lives in the underwater nation of Zidao in Tiansha. There, smaller city-states follow their own government and leaders, though they have vowed to protect one another from the terrors of the deep should the need arise. The largest city-state, Yashabaru, has no direct control over the other settlements, but its leader serves as a figurehead for the region. Outside of Zidao, communities are more isolated and independent, though population centers include the Shackles, a reclusive settlement near Sadek, and the large gulfs of Arcadia. The smallest individual Athamaru settlements might have only a dozen members, while the largest house hundreds. Athamaru communities connect with other aquatic inhabitants to build strong bonds that improve the quality of life for everyone involved. Animals are integrated into their communities as partners, particularly the domesticated eels that Athamarus use as steeds. I love this. That's a cool feel. The eels generally roam freely, and Athamarus train mounts from newly hatched elvers they raise. Little eels. Elvers. Each community consists of genetically related Athamarus, typically all born from a single parent. In most settlements, the parent is known as the matriarch and serves as the leader. When this parent nears the end of their life or otherwise stops laying eggs, several Athamarus in the community choose to undergo certain physical changes, including an increase in size, to announce their intention to become the next matriarch. The decision to be considered a matriarch isn't taken lightly, as the eventual leadership role is responsible for the community's survival and continuation. Each community selects their next matriarch from those hopefuls in their own way. Such traditions include democratic elections, trials of knowledge, and contests of physicality involving deep diving or riding untamed wildlife. In Zidao, city-state matriarch candidates must present themselves to the High Matriarch and their council to be judged worthy of completing the transformation. Sometimes young adults split off to create new communities, especially if resources become scarce or internal conflict escalates. If a group struggles as they establish a community, their former settlement often agrees to take them back if they agree to respect the extant leadership. Other groups have mistreated Athamarus in the past, so their communities maintain strong internal bonds. Athamarus consider it less risky to deal with each other first. While the most common activities between them are trade, communities also share information. Warnings about danger flow quickly. Safe opportunities are also shared, such as trustworthy land dwellers and open markets. Such trust with outsiders, however, is easily lost and hard to regain. Most Athamarus would rather flee, sometimes even uprooting an entire community, than risk open hostilities. Athamaru names typically consist of 3 syllables. The first syllable is shared by all members of a generation, and the last 2 syllables identify an individual. When traveling outside their communities, they introduce themselves by their community name first. Some communities, particularly those in Zidao, break this convention, but those names still maintain a flow and identify Athamarus hatched in the same year. I love that. They all have 3 syllables. It's just an interesting restriction to put on an ancestry. Sample names: Asandor, Keiel, Corlena, Mithei, Antioch, Paquatl. Paquatl? Sounds hard to say and like I'm drunk. Paquatl. Overall ancestry traits. Attributes, I guess. Rarity uncommon, hit points 8, size medium, speed 20 feet, swim 25 feet. I like that they have a very close parity between those. Attribute boosts: strength, wisdom, and free attribute. Attribute flaw: intelligence. They're a very physical ancestry. Languages: common and thalassic. Traits: amphibious, Athamaru, humanoid. Low light vision. And we continue back to beliefs. Due to their community-minded nature, Athamarus tend to favor beliefs and philosophies that focus on connection and aiding others. They are also aware that they sometimes require protection from the dangers of the sea, so some Athamarus take on the roles of staunch guardians or religious figures who plead for intercession from sympathetic gods. Worship within a single community tends to favor one deity, with multiple temples being rare. In the Inner Sea, Athamaru settlements typically revere the nature god Gozre to strengthen their bonds with their surroundings, or Aristil for guidance on forming healthy communities. In Tian Sha, the Duke of Thunder Hai Feng's favor is sought as Athamarus navigate fickle seasons and politics, while those Athamarus who guard the seas against horrors from the deep pray to the triad war gods Sri Kalis, Sri Taming, and Sri Beryl for unwavering strength. Popular edicts: seek out new experiences away from your place of birth. Lead your community to a better future. Popular anathema. Betray your community or otherwise knowingly do it harm. I know it doesn't mention it, and it wouldn't really qualify as an anathema, but I bet it would be anathematic for them to remove their scent glands or otherwise tamp down their scent, because it's a base part of their communication. It's not just their culture. It's like cutting off a sense because it bothers people. How dare you be able to hear me? It's interesting. Athamaru heritages. Athamaru adaptations developed over centuries of underwater living while facing attacks from dangerous predators. Coral Athamaru. Coral covers patches of your body, which provides a natural layer of defense. Coral Athamarus often choose coral symbiotes and other related ancestry feats. The coral plates are medium armor in the plate armor group that grant a +4 item bonus to AC, a dex cap of +1, a check penalty of -2, a speed penalty of -5 feet, a strength value of 16, and have the aquadynamic and comfort traits. You can never wear other armor or remove the coral. You can etch armor runes onto the coral. I don't know how you couldn't remove the coral. It's not actually part of your body. Whatever. Next heritage, Hopeful Athamaru. You have begun to prepare yourself to become an Athamaru matriarch, and are likely stepping outside of your community to better prepare yourself as a leader. As part of the physical change, you are substantially taller than you once were. Instead of medium, your size is large. Really handy. In addition, you instill your allies with a feeling of hopefulness. You have a 10-foot aura that grants any ally in it a +1 circumstance bonus to saving throws against fear. This is an emotion and mental effect. That's great. That's a really cool ancestry, the heritage. I like the hopefuls. Kaleidoscopic Athamaru. Your scales are a spectrum of color that shimmers in the light. In areas of bright light or dim light, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to performance checks. Makes sense. You also gain the Dazzle Seeker reaction. It's a misfortune effect. Trigger. A creature attempts a flat check to target you due to you being concealed from it. Effect. You flash your bright scales in the creature's eyes, making it hard for them to pinpoint your exact location. The creature must roll the flat check twice and take the worst result. That's great. That's cool. I like that. Oh, that's really handy. Quilled Athamaru. Sharp quills on your head can pierce your foes deeply. Most Athamarus use such quills for defense, but a well-timed head bash can be devastatingly effective. You gain a quills melee unarmed attack that deals 1d6 piercing damage. Your quills are in the brawling group and have the agile, finesse, and unarmed traits. You have to always remember that it's your head smashing someone, though. That's just cool. Alright, ancestry feats. First level, Athamaru lore. You've immersed yourself in community learning, particularly around navigating the waters and tending to animals. You gain the trained proficiency rank in athletics and nature. If you automatically become trained in one of those skills from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. You also gain the additional lore general feat for Athamaru lore. Go figure. Athamaru weapon familiarity. Level 1 feat. You wield weapons designed to work underwater with ease. You have familiarity with weapons with the Athamaru trait, and with crossbows, heavy crossbows, long spears, and tridents. For the purposes of proficiency, you treat any of these that are martial weapons as simple weapons. At 5th level, when you get a critical hit with one of these weapons, you get its critical specialization effect. Next level 1 feat. Community-minded. You are familiar with all the members of your community and their typical movements, and you have learned how to apply these patterns outside those circles. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to your perception DC against someone attempting to lie to you, and to perception checks to sense motive or to detect a creature trying to impersonate someone they are not. That's cool. That's actually kind of interesting. Like I could think of a few builds that would take that. Even an NPC would be useful to have that. All right, cool. That's a good one. Coral symbiotes, level 1 feat. You've tended to your coral jewelry so well that you have formed a symbiotic relationship with it. I want to point out this doesn't require the coral heritage. The powerful filtration properties of this coral protect you from impurities. You gain a +1 status bonus to saving throws against poisons, and your flat check to remove persistent poison damage is DC 10 instead of DC 15, which is great. Which is reduced to DC 5 if another creature uses a particularly appropriate action to help. You must submerge yourself in water once every 24 hours to hydrate your coral, or you'll lose the bonuses granted by the symbiotes. Okay, that's fine. That's a decent trade-off. That could be a potentially life-saving ability. That's good for level 1. Yeah, hi. Next level 1 feat, Elver Pet. Athamarus have bonded with eels more closely than any other fish. You have formed a strong connection with a young eel that serves as your pet. Typically, these eels are tended until they grow large enough to serve as a mount. You gain the Pet General feat. Instead of the normal choice of pet abilities, your eel has aquatic, fast movement, and the damage avoidance familiar ability for reflex saves. The aquatic ability means it gains the aquatic trait, breathes water instead of air, and has a swim speed instead of a land speed. When you aren't in an aquatic environment, you can easily carry your pet eel around in a small water-filled globe that has light bulk. It even shows the picture of the globe on the screen. It's great. Look at the cute little eel. He just wants to bite your nose. Next level 1 feat. Emit defensive odor. 1 action. This has the inhaled and poison traits. Frequency once per day. While Athamaru's natural pheromones are typically used for communication, you have developed yours into a defense mechanism to ward off foes. You emit a thick spray of defensive pheromones at an adjacent creature, who takes 2d6 poison damage with a basic fortitude save against your class DC. At 3rd level and every 2 levels thereafter, the damage increases by 1d6. No sickened? Come on, they should get sickened from that. Like, it's a smell. Overwhelming smells that are poison damage should make you feel sick. Whatever. Next level 1 feat, Ocean Wariness. Stories about those who have mistreated your people in the past, particularly stories about Algolthu mind control, left you untrusting of those outside your community. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to your defenses against deception, diplomacy, intimidation, and performance checks. Ocean Wariness is otherwise known as paranoid fuck. You are just paranoid. Next level 1 feat, Pheromonal Message. 1 action, Olfactory. Your communicative pheromones are particularly well developed from years of living with other Athamarus. You send a brief message to one ally within 60 feet, or 120 feet in water. No other creature can understand the message. The message must be short and simple and can't convey ideas that would require complex or novel wording if spoken, such as a creature's name or proper nouns. This does not say that you have to be communicating with another Athamaru. You smell your way to someone else's ear? No, it's nose. Somehow, the party bard just smells that you're paranoid about the situation. Okay. Alright. I'm not critiquing it for, like, quality. I think it's really useful and cool. It's just weird. Level 5 feats. Coral Growth. Prerequisites, Coral Symbiotes. The difference between yourself and your coral symbiotes is nearly impossible to tell apart, as your bodies are so intertwined. When you are underwater, you no longer need to eat or drink, as your coral symbiotes provide you with sufficient nutrition. While you are on land, your body provides your coral symbiotes with sufficient hydration. You no longer need to submerge yourself in water every 24 hours. It doesn't say this, but I would think that you would need to drink a little bit more. Next level 5 feat, Growing Eel Friend. Prerequisites, Elver Pet. Your eel pet grows larger and stronger. Your eel pet's size changes to small, and the eel gains the scent and tough pet abilities. However, it becomes too large to carry in a water-filled globe. That's it. That's the whole feat. You just have to deal with how that works on your own. Okay. So it's the size of a halfling. You carry around a big water tank? Or hopefully you're in the water a lot. Or an extra dimensional space that's just full of water. Next level 5 feat, Noxious Odor. This has the poison trait. Prerequisites, emit defensive odor. You have developed your skill with your defensive pheromones and have concentrated them into a noxious form. A creature that fails its save against your emit defensive odor action also becomes sickened 1 or sickened 2 on a critical failure. Okay, so it was just a restriction of it because of level. That was level 1 feat, this is level 5, now they can be sickened. Fine, I'm okay with that. Next level 5 feat, Riptide Mount, 1 action. Requirements, you are underwater and adjacent to a creature that is at least 1 size larger than you, has a swim speed, and is willing to be your mount. After working with aquatic beasts of burden for years, you have learned how to easily mount and dismount them. You mount the creature and command an animal to issue it an order of your choice. This will rarely come up in most adventures. However, if the GM is okay with you playing an Athamaru, chances are they're going to be involving some sort of water. So, okay, this could be useful. I know that most adventures, the vast majority of them, homemade and pre-bought, they're pre-made, purchased, would have to have some modification to accommodate this specific feat. Otherwise, it won't do a goddamn thing. So talk to your GM. Next level 5 feat, Skilled Swimmer. You move through the water with ease, mastering your movements with years of practice. When in an aquatic environment, you ignore difficult terrain. In addition, swimming up or down isn't difficult terrain for you. I like that. That's cool. That's very useful for aquatic scenes and areas. 9th level, Coral Detoxification. 2 actions, prerequisites, coral symbiotes, frequency once per hour. The coral colony that you've tended has merged with your kidneys to add an additional layer of filtration. Attempt a saving throw against a single poison affecting you with a +2 circumstance bonus. That's great. Why not? I have kidney coral. Would you like to see it? Next level 9 feat, Emissary Assistance. As an emissary, you have assisted landbound creatures in journeying underwater to visit your settlements. You gain Feet to Fins and Water Breathing as 3rd rank primal innate spells. You can cast each of these spells once per day. Why the hell is there not a Fins to Feet spell yet? So many aquatic ancestries and species and creatures. There needs to be Fins to Feet. Come on, get with the program. Next level 9 feat, Moray Eel Mount. You have either trained a giant moray eel since its hatching, or have tamed one in the wild. You gain the Bonded Animal Skill feat, even if you don't meet the prerequisites, to bond with a giant moray eel. When you command this animal while you are mounted on it to take a move action, you automatically succeed instead of needing to attempt to check. That's cool. I like that. This is a couple things in one feat. It's a good feat. Special, if you have the Elver Pet or Growing Eel Friend Ancestry feats, you can choose to have that pet become your bonded animal. You don't need to spend 7 days of downtime to bond with the eel, and you automatically succeed at the nature check. You can then retrain those feats. This is a nice ancestral feat chain. You really need to grant the moray eel mount flying and air breathing, because it's creepy. Oh, look here. We have those air snakes they talk about. Next feat. Also level 9. Persistent Odor. Prerequisites. Emit defensive odor. Your pheromones now linger on creatures. Ew. When a target fails its save against your emit defensive odor ability, they also take 1d6 persistent poison damage. Jesus. The damage increases to 2d6 at 13th level and 3d6 at 17th level. I like this. This is good. This is just a good straight upgrade. Sometimes feat trees can be your friend, and this is one of them. And so is the eel pet. Level 13 feats. Attuned electroreceptors. You grow specialized organs that allow you to detect even the faintest of heartbeats. You can sense living creatures and any creature with the electricity trait as an imprecise sense with a range of 20 feet. That's neat. This range doubles while you are underwater, though only in the body of water you're in. Yeah, of course, that makes sense. That's cool. Attuned electroreceptors. They really were, this ancestry really was made with eels in mind. That's cool. Next level 13 feat, Coral Reserve. 1 action, prerequisites, coral symbiotes. Frequency once per day. Requirements, you are enfeebled or fatigued. Your coral symbiotes provide a store of energy that you can call upon when needed. You suppress your enfeebled or fatigued condition. If you're affected by both, choose one to suppress. After 1 minute, the condition returns with any remaining duration it had when you suppressed it. Freaking amazing. You just suppress it for a whole minute. That's great. Yeah. This is good. This is very good. Because you can deal with it better out of combat. Nice. Good. Okay. Next level 13 feat, Rapid Pheromone Recovery. Prerequisites, emit defensive odor. Your supply of pheromones replenish very quickly. You can emit defensive odor once per hour rather than once per day. Good. So it's probably useful in every fight. And that's what we want. Next level 13 feet. Last one. Swift eel mount. Your rapport with your eel lets you guide it to avoid dangers as it swims. While you're mounted on an eel, that eel ignores difficult terrain while swimming and gets a +2 circumstance bonus to all defenses against reactions triggered by its movement. Okay, that's good underwater, I guess. But like if you're not underwater. Does it count as swimming if they're like moving as if they were swimming, but they have a fly speed? Probably not. Okay. Level 17 feats. Coral Lifeline. This has the healing trait, prerequisites, coral symbiotes, frequency once per day. The coral symbiotes have grown into your bloodstream and are now curled around your heart. Why is this a good thing? When you would die, the coral in your body releases a burst of healing energy. This prevents you from dying and restores 4d8 hit points. Once this ability is used, the coral fades to a dull gray and gives you no benefits until you complete your next daily preparations. How would I know it's gray if it's wrapped around my heart? Do I have heart vision? Anyway, it's a great feat. Good mechanics for this feat. That's good. It's quite useful. It's a little weird, but it's fine. Next level 17 feat. Moray Ambush. It's a reaction, trigger. You are hidden, and a creature who hasn't detected you passes within 20 feet of you. Like the moray eels Athamaru communities raise and train, you know how to quickly strike from hiding. Stride or swim directly toward the triggering creature and make a melee strike against it. The target creature is off guard to this attack. Nice! Special, if you're mounted on an eel, you can have the eel move instead of yourself. Okay, fine, that makes sense. It's only if it's underwater, but in that case, it's really good. Okay, so like if I run an aquatic adventure, I'm going to suggest to people that they play this Ancestry because it has some really useful shit for underwater. Yeah. Last level 17 feat. Offensive odor. Prerequisites: emit defensive odor. You've mastered your defensive pheromones and have nearly complete control over them. When you emit defensive odor, you can either choose to increase the damage dealt to a single target by changing the damage dice to d8s, or leave the damage unchanged but spray your pheromones in a 15-foot cone. I'm going to hose off all my enemies with my smell. This has a very alien feel to this Ancestry. I like this. That's pretty cool. Oh, man. I'm going to read the inset panels for the Athamaru. Athamaru Metamorphosis. Any adult Athamaru can undergo a metamorphosis to become larger. This typically happens when they intend to become a matriarch. The process doesn't innately change an Athamaru's understanding of their gender, but is viewed rather as a new stage in their life. Athamarus can metamorphose without their community needing a new matriarch. This most commonly occurs when they intend to leave and form a new community. When a matriarch abdicates, they often slowly transition back from their larger form, though they will always be taller than the average Athamaru and typically command some additional respect even after their role as matriarch is a thing of the past. Okay, so it sounds like matriarch is just a title that fits for masculine or feminine. It doesn't matter if you could previously release eggs or not. You're going to somehow create a spawn of fish people. They really don't cover it in a lot of detail. Next inset panel, Athamaru Adventurers. Athamarus are strongly motivated by community, and most who choose to leave their community to adventure have a good reason why. Many begin adventuring to protect their community or solve a particular problem, while others are thrust out into the wider world after a tragedy. The animal whisperer, emissary, and sailor backgrounds complement Athamaru's well. Sailor? Who would have guessed? Eel-mounted champions or rangers often serve as Athamaru community protectors, and those who want to connect with others train as bards so they can spray their smell as a performance. It doesn't say that part. Though Athamaru spellcasters are typically rare, some use their strong relationship to the natural world to become druids. Okay, I get that. Being an arcane fish person, I guess, is kind of weird. I think so is it being a caster fish person. So it's a fish person. Being a fish person is weird. I guess after that, I don't care what you are. You can be a barbarian sorcerer. I appreciate you being with me for the Athamaru, and if you're a patron, thank you for being here. Or for being anywhere. Thank you for existing. I appreciate you. If you're interested in joining the Discord or buying Howl of the Wild, both links are down below, and so is Patreon and our website and other stuff. Whatever, there's stuff. Good luck. If you want to catch up on the rest of the Howl of the Wild, the playlist for Howl of the Wild is there. And over here will be the undead archetypes. Why not? Because they're weird. Thank you for being here. Loot says thank you too.